Welcome, folks. I'm Anika Larsen. I'm an actor and a singer. I am the mother of two little boys who are 6 and 7 and are currently upstairs either sleeping like angels or wearing my husband the heck out. And I am your host of tonight's Meet the Parent, where we talk to artists about how life in the theater affects their parenting and how parenting affects their life in the theater. Now, in case you didn't know, New York City Children's Theater is an incredible organization with a mission to promote children's literacy and social development through accessible professional theater productions and arts and education programs. I joined the board of New York City Children's Theater because of the really impactful outreach they do. They do music and playwriting programs in public schools, community centers, and homeless shelters. They do anti bullying programs, a touring bilingual multisensory musical, and they've created a trauma informed toolkit to help educators work with children who have experienced trauma. And we also provide programming for free on our website, including Start the Conversation, which is a series that helps parents talk to their kids about big topics that can be hard to navigate. And they have just released a new series on practicing consent. And I can't wait to watch it with my family because, boy, have all of the other ones we've watched really led to fantastic conversations with my kids. So let your parent friends know it's there and it's free on NewYorkCityChildren'sTheater.org. And of course, on top of all these phenomenal programs, we do plays. We are the only company in New York City that does a whole season of original new plays for families. It takes an incredibly talented and dedicated staff to make all of this work happen. And that staff is now led by our brand new executive director, Kathy Hung. And we have her here today. Kathy, welcome to Meet the Parent.
Hi, Anika. Thanks for having me.
Of course. Kathy, will you please tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to New York City Children's Theater?
Yes, I love to. I love playing piano growing up, and I thought that I will have a career in music. But when I was in college, I had the opportunity of working in an orchestra behind the scenes, and I totally enjoy working with diverse talents, and that completely changed my career path. So I
Hmm.
came to New York City to get my master's degree in arts management and started building a career in arts and cultural sector for almost 30 years
Hmm.
and working in many different cultural organizations. When I learned about the mission of the New York City Children's Theater, I was immediately drawn to it because I believe the impact and the importance of the work for young children. I am particularly excited about the organization use creative storytelling to promote emotional learning and encourage imagination in the children's development. And I love the team and love to be part of the team to bring their mission forward.
Yes, that's fantastic. And I agree. Our work, it just has such a huge impact on children's lives. It's something to be so proud of.
Yes, and we see the impact on the children every day. One of the example that I heard recently is one of our theme for the most recent production, Fish in a Tree, that it's about bullying, and the production is about neural disability. And after seeing the show, one of the parents sent us an email, share with us that she had to take her child off the school because bullying,
Hmm.
and that because the child has a sensory learning disability. And after seeing the show, the mother tell us that the child feel being seen
Mm.
and supported and empowered. And that's
Hmm.
the power of our work.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's an amazing story. I love that. Okay, so now let's talk about how we can all come together to ensure that New York City Children's Theater continues to do this incredible work. Our gala is coming up soon. Can you please tell us more about that?
Yes, very excited. Our gala is our annual event that raises crucial funds for New York City Children's mission, New York City Children's Theater's mission. This year, we are celebrating the power of our people to educate, to cultivate, and to inspire. We are thrilled to be honoring Alexa Fairchild, Celia Austin LLP, and your close friend, Tom Kidd.
Hmm.
We also have some very special appearance and performance by Academy Award winner Cameron Crowe and performance by Tony Award nominee Kenita Miller and you.
That's right. I'm going to sing. I'll be up there. And I get to co host with CBS New York anchor Cindy Shu. It's going to be a party. So, when and where is the gala going to be so people can come?
The gala will be held on Monday, April 24th, 2023, from 6:30 to 10:30 at Edison Ballroom. And so for more information about the gala and how to support the organization's mission, please visit the website on the screen.
Thank you, Kathy. We are so lucky to have you as our new executive director. Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Anika. It's an honor to be here.
All right. See you later. All right, let's get to our guests. But first, if you have a question at any point in the evening and you would like to ask our stage management friends, please write it in the comment section and I will ask that question for you. All right, here it is. Andrea Saraffian, hi Andrea,
Hey.
has stage managed across the country and across the world, including many Broadway shows like Rock of Ages, Catch Me If You Can, Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, Cry Baby, Taboo, Follies, and currently Harry Potter and the Cursed Child?
Cursed.
Yeah. I was getting fancy. And the Cursed Child. Andrea is the mother of Willa, who is 8. And Beverly Jenkins has stage managed over 20 Broadway shows, including A Bronx Tale, In the Heights, Shrek, Avenue Q, Aida, Sweet Charity, Oklahoma, The Lion King, Bringing a Noise, Bringing a Funk, Miss Saigon, Hadestown, The Piano Lesson, Grease, Five Guys Named Mo, and currently Bob Fosse's Dancin'. She is a co-founder of Broadway and Beyond, an organization that provides opportunities to aspiring and current stage managers of color to learn from industry insiders through free networking and educational events. And Beverly is the mother of Oscar, age 25, Deirdre, 22, Jackson, 20, and Rick, age 39, Samantha, 37, Mary, 35, and Jessica, 33. And I just learned the grandmother to 6.
Yes. 6.
That's a 6 between 2 and 12, I heard.
Between 2 and 12, yes.
Who are underfoot more than you had anticipated, maybe.
Underfoot a lot. But it's a blessing, so I take it.
And then you go to work.
Good to see you, Andrea.
Nice to see you too.
All right. So we always ask the same first question every episode because I think it's a nice way to get to know you and your kids, which is, what do you like about your kids? Andrea, we'll start with you. What do you like about Willa?
Oh, I think I like that her personality as a child is completely different from me as a kid. And so it fills me with like wonder and amazement at the way she walks through the world because it's completely different. I was painfully shy, quiet, had, trouble making friends, and she is confident and outspoken and brave, and she will talk to anybody, kids, adults, and it is just it's always surprising to me when I watch her, and I love that because she's just so different. So sometimes I'm like, I have no idea how to approach this as a parent because she's not the kid that I was. So it's like it's like turning I have to fire on all cylinders. I feel like I'm getting it right,
Yeah, I very much understand that feeling of yes. It seems like it would be easier to parent you than this creature who you just don't understand how their brain works.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep.
What about you, Beverly? What do you like about your kids?
Let's see. There's I'm start with Oscar. Oscar, my 25-year-old, he is the most unassuming but most caring person on earth. He always stands up for, the underdog. He takes care of children who may be on the spectrum. He takes care of elderly people. So he really does see people and he really cares about them. And that's a rare thing in this, for that generation to care that much. I really love that about him.
Yeah.
Let's see. Then there is Deirdre. Thank you for saying her name right.
Oh, I win.
What a big win. Deirdre, that's my baby girl. And she is such an artist and she is so independent. And sometimes I see me walking around and makes me proud to see a mini me who doesn't look anything like me, but she's a mini me walking
Mm.
around. She's an independent woman, and she is out there on the front lines fighting for what she believes is right. So I love that about her. And then there's my baby, Jackson, and he is a focused little musician, and he is on the right path to do whatever he wants to do with his life. And I really love, I love all of my children, even the my stepchildren, because they are such a family unit, and their love that they have for each other really inspires me.
I love that. Love that. Okay, let's get into it. First, I feel like we should, just for people who maybe don't know, explain what a stage manager does, because I don't think people, I mean, really, you guys have the longest hours of anyone in the building. And that doesn't seem like that makes for easy parenting. So who wants to explain, 5 words or less? Just kidding. Who wants to explain what a stage manager does?
I might be able to do it in 10 words or less.
Oh, go for it.
I'll try my version, and then Andrea, you put in your version.
Yeah.
The stage manager is the person who, once the creative and management team has left the building, is put in charge of making sure that all aspects of the show run daily. Period.
Yeah.
That's my quick answer.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
Andrea?
I always I describe it as air traffic control. You have to communicate with everybody, and it can be that stressful, I assume, not having been an air traffic controller, but you are the communications hub.
Yeah. Because you have to you are in charge of making sure all the departments, you have to be able to handle actors and also the crew and everybody. Front of house, you're communicating with literally everybody. You're the one who makes the show happen. You run the show. Yeah. No, it's and you're there before everybody and you leave after everybody. And that's a lot. That's a lot. I'm curious, how much do you feel like your skills as a stage manager overlap with your skills as a parent? Like, have you ever found yourself trying to stage manage your children and it was a miserable failure? Or conversely, do you feel like there's times in the theater where you feel like you're parenting people? Like, how much of it, like in the Venn diagram of the two sets of skills, how much overlap do you feel like there is?
I think they overlap a bit. I mean, there are certainly times that I've been in conversations with people and I'm thinking, well, this was when Willow was younger. Like, Willow would not be talking to me like this. we're gonna have to refocus this conversation. But I do think the patience of being a parent has led me to more patience in my job. I think I was always a patient person, but it's sort of honed my patience level more so for that.
I think that they overlap. In my world, they overlap a lot. And it's like you said, it's the patience, it's being able to hear and listen what someone is saying, but not necessarily the words that are coming out of their mouth. Like, not to insult any actor or any crew person or anything, but sometimes, we're in a very personal business and people get excited and they start saying words. And then you have to say, okay, but what you're saying is X, Y, and Z. And you have to get to the bottom of the issue. And you also have to be you have to learn how to keep peace within the building because we're in close quarters often. So I think that my stage management skills of doing that helped with my parenting.
I never thought about it that way, but we often do backstage at shows call ourselves a family. And we are, especially in New York real estate, like it's tight back there and we really are in close quarters, like in a home. I hadn't really thought about it that way. And so, and also when my kids are being crazy emotional and irrational, everything's sort of so heightened. It's because they're small, but in the line of work that we do, stuff is so heightened because of the nature of the work we do. And I think as a show runs on, it becomes much more routine, but the building of the show and the first couple of months of the show and getting through opening of the show, all of that is so it can be so stressful and so heightened for everybody, so emotional. Everybody's so worried about their place in the show and producing in the way that they want to, that, yeah, we are often led by our emotions in ways that, yeah, it's a very good point that we're not necessarily saying what we mean because we don't necessarily know because it's clouded by our emotions in a way that I think it is for kids sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay, so what have been some of the best parts of being a parent in the theater? What are some of the really wonderful things that have come out of being a parent who works in theater?
Well, it's changed a little since the pandemic, but my favorite thing was having Willa come with me to the theater. And she came every Sunday morning for preset. And it was just, I will always remember it as just the most magical time. She would just sit on the edge of the stage, and we have a lovely group there. And she got to check cue lights, and see magic, and just was fully embraced by everybody. And that, I loved that she could see that part of my work. Also, it's given her a bit of a skewed vision of what going to work is.
Sure.
but it was the most special time, and I loved that for her. And I always, I wanted her to come to the theater with me and to grow up sort of knowing that. So I hope we're getting to a time when she can do that again soon. It hasn't happened yet, but
I know it really is such a bummer. I did Almost Famous in the fall, and it was the first time I did a Broadway show since my kids have been old enough to be aware of theater. And I was just so bummed I couldn't ever take them back to my dressing room. They never saw it in FaceTime. I FaceTime with them every night. But yeah, the idea that, you want to be able to give your child that magical memory of growing up backstage at a Broadway show. I mean, that makes it worth missing all the bedtimes, I guess, What about you, Beverly?
Well, I totally agree, because, I'm a few years out of the younger child age. Right. But when my children were younger, in the before times, we were able to bring kids in. I was, Anika and I was speaking before about Avenue Q, and at Avenue Q in that building, we had an extra room upstairs. And if we had to work on a holiday like Christmas, I remember Christmas Eve, one year we had to work. And so I'm like, this is kid day. So we brought all the kids in. I made the company buy pizza. We had kids go upstairs. We had, PlayStation 1, and, great time. But we were able to do that. And then they got to see what was keeping their parents, especially their moms, away for so many hours,
Yeah.
Another thing that's really great about having kids in theater is, us being in theater, is that we know people. And so, the little things, like when they want to go to see, Paw Patrol or something like that, you get to call somebody, and somebody gets you a decent seat and some free popcorn or something. I mean, it was funny when I was growing up, but and the funny thing, let me tell a quick story. So the funny thing is that the kids can get used to stuff like that, when they're in the theater. When my daughter was 4, we were going to see a show, and something happened to our ticket, so we were sitting further back than she's used to, and she clutched and it was like, "Mommy, this is a faraway seat." I was like, sorry, honey, we'll get H next time.
Good for her. Oh, that's fun. So then flip side is, what are the worst and the hardest parts about being a parent who works in the theater?
The hours that we work.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to say. The hours we work. We work 6 days a week, on the clock, 6 days a week. We really work 7. Right. Yeah. And so do actors, because you have to think about your voice, especially, a singer. You have to think about your voice. You can't go around screaming on a Monday to think you're going to go in and sing on a Tuesday. You can't do it. So we work 7 days a week. We work off hours. So when Sue is taking her kid to the, to the event in the evening, I'm paying, my neighbor to please take my kid, or asking my neighbor to please take my kid, So those are the hardest things. And I'm going to tell y'all right now, they will throw it in your face when you get older. Let's be honest. They'll bust it right in your face.
All right. Good to know. We'll be prepared. What about you, Andrea?
Yeah, I mean, I can really only echo that. It's the dinners, it's the bedtimes. It is really hard to miss those. I was worried at first with COVID that would like affect Willis so negatively. You know, we were all worried about our kids and how that's going to affect them. And she's going to look back on this time and it's awful. It was the best time of her life because I was home all the time and I was home for every dinner and every bedtime. I was going a little, cuckoo, but she will always look back on that time as the best and she wishes we could go back to it. So it's hard. I also find it's really hard for me because the evenings we have free are so limited. It's really hard to choose to do anything for myself, like to see friends on a day off or, go to a book club, old book club that I used to go to on Monday nights. I don't want to give that up because I have two nights a week with her. So it's really hard to choose those other things that also feed your soul along with your kids.
Yeah. First of all, I feel terrible now that you're here with me.
No, she's here. She's fine.
Okay, cool. But yeah, no, absolutely. I agree. It's then Monday nights and Sunday nights. If you're lucky enough to be on that schedule, you could sort of feel like you have 2 nights with your kids, but those become so sacred, right? Yeah. And I just was hit with such, I mean, I knew it was coming, so I sort of prepared myself for it. But this fall, when school started at the same time as my show started, and my youngest was in kindergarten. So it was the first time that both my kids were in school 6 hours a day. And then I was on their opposite schedule. So there was a little bit of the grace granted by the fact that they were in school all day meant that I could then nap. So I got up with them, took them to school. Actually, on a Meet the Parent preparing for this, I was talking to Audra McDonald and Ann Harada, and I was like, what do you do? And they were like, nap. All you can do is nap. Because you have to get up with them in the morning because otherwise you don't see them. And so you get up for breakfast and then I would go back to sleep, but and then maybe see them for like an hour after school. But yes, especially in such crazy comparison to COVID when you were with them the whole time, it just was like, it was a real shock to the system and really hard. But now I'm unemployed again. And now I'm like, I wish I only saw them for 15 minutes a day. I don't. I just wish there was a happy medium, right? Well, but you actually have worked out something really wonderful, Andrea. You actually got it like worked into your contract. Tell everybody about what you get, what the lovely people at Harry Potter and the Cursed Child have done.
I mean, I also want to preface this by saying I'm in a very lucky position to be on a long-running show. And I got this idea from another long-running show I worked on, Rock of Ages, while I was pregnant. And a fabulous stage manager, Francesca Russell, had 2 children, and she sort of paved that way. She was taking 2 shows off a week. And it was amazing to sort of have this blueprint of that's possible. I know it's not always possible, but it can be. And so, I mean, I worked maybe to my 8.5 month there when I was pregnant, and I started taking a show off a week there. And I just thought, okay, well, this is how I have to try and make it work. At least I just have to try. So when the opportunity for Harry Potter came along, that's how I started out talking about it. And when I was, speaking with general management about working on it, I just said, this is what I'd like to do. Not obviously in the beginning, not in production, but once we're up and running through understudies, once we've gotten there, is this possibility? And they were very supportive, and my whole stage management office has been very supportive, and it's worked out great. I mean, honestly, it makes me wish I could take 2 shows off a week, because you're home for the one and you're like, oh, wish it was more. But it's great, and it's a small way to find a little bit of work-life balance for me. And I hope more people try to do it and are successful with it, because it definitely helps out a lot. It helps her out. It helps me, helps my husband out too. So it's been
Yeah, it's lovely of them to be supportive in that way. And I feel like I'm hearing more and more stories about people being accommodated in those ways. But Beverly, as somebody who's been around a minute, do you feel like that existed back when you were like, did you feel like you would have ever
Um,
thought or been able to ask for that when your kids were small?
I actually did not ask for that, but I did do something else. And it's making a decision on what's important in your life, really. And
Yeah.
also being in a position to say, I'm going to ask for what I want. And
Yeah.
so once I had my first, I started putting in my contract what I call my mommy clause.
Mm.
Basically, it just says that, producer understands that said stage manager has young school age children, and from time to time, we'll need to take a show off to attend events for the child. At no time will these show be in jeopardy, And I wasn't
Mhm.
asking for money, which is something that when you're not asking for money, they are
Yeah.
more apt to give it to you. I didn't want money; it
Right.
was my time, which
Yeah.
I found to be more important. So I was able to pick and choose what I wanted to, what I could attend for
Yeah.
my kids, or what days I want to take off. And so I really just took that out of my contract last
Yeah.
year because I,
Wow.
because I had a situation come up when I went to the Old Globe to do um, dancing, to do the out of town at the Old Globe, where my girl child was graduating from college while I was away. And I told them that they had to buy me a round trip ticket if they wanted me to come back, and
Mhm.
that I was going to take this week off. And they hemmed and hawed, like, we'll buy you the ticket, but we're just not sure about the time. And I'm like, well, you let me know if I'm doing the job or not. And I hung up.
Good
Done.
for you.
I don't need
Yeah.
my child was much more important than any show. Let's get that straight.
Yeah.
And so you have to know what to ask for. And for Andrew to ask for, I just need one day, a few hours. If the show is covered, it doesn't cost them anything. It's probably cost them less. You know,
Yeah.
it'll cost them less. So ask for it.
Yeah.
I encourage
Yeah.
everyone to ask. All they can do is say, "We can't
Yeah.
do it right now. Let's talk about this in 3 or 6 months or something." You know.
Yeah. I feel like the general culture in our country has become more supportive of parents and of mothers. Do you feel like that's reflected in the theater too? Do you feel like it's become a little easier to make these asks? Do you feel like always, I don't know, sometimes it's like, but theater's artists and they're progressive and but producers are producers and they don't like to be put out.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like we're moving towards that. It's hard for me to speak on the flip side of it just because I have supportive producers. So I have
Yeah.
and general management. So I haven't but because I've run into positive feedback each time I've asked. It's hard to say. But
Yeah.
I feel like we are moving towards more of a work life balance. I hope it's real. If we're certainly talking about it a lot more,
Yeah.
so I hope it's real. I know, at our show again, it's long running, and we have a lot of swings and subs, and it is, I see more time off requests granted than there used to be. I mean, we used to, I think isn't it in the contract, you get 2 personal days, 3 personal days. We certainly do more than that at our show. And I
Mm.
think there's something to be said for keeping everyone happy. Like
Yeah.
you want the show to run and you want it to be great, but you also want your group to thrive and be happy,
Yeah.
and keep
Yeah.
coming back.
Yeah, and again, that is the luxury of a long-running show.
Yeah,
That's why how we all just
absolutely.
wish we could get a long-running show because the job security of it all, but then it really does become like a very sort of routine workplace, like a factory almost where you're churning out a new show every night, but everybody knows it so down that really they can trade people out so much more easily than a new show.
Yeah.
Yeah, I too, I have to say I've only done 2 shows on Broadway as a mother, but Almost Famous with little boys, and then Beautiful when I was pregnant and then came back after maternity leave. And really both sets of producers were lovely about accommodating me. And so, yeah, let's hope that that's the way of the world now. Yeah. Okay. So we're talking about being supported in that way. Are there other ways that you guys can think of that you feel like the theater community supports you as a parent?
Oh.
No. I mean, one of the things you sort of nodded, both of you, I think, actually, is the idea of like when you bring your kids to work, everybody loves it. Like it's because it's you don't usually have kids backstage unless it's a show with kids in it, which are rare.
I will say
People
this,
get really
though,
excited.
after them, everybody has a kid now. When I was pregnant with my first 109 years ago, everyone was like, "Oh my gosh, someone's having a baby." It was just unheard of. I believe Jill Cordell and I were pregnant at the same time. It was absolutely unheard of. Now, I mean, on Hadestown, we just had 2 babies in 2 weeks time. You know, people are just having babies, you know.
So you
right
feel
now.
like performers are having babies younger?
Performers are having babies, period. Because they weren't. If they were having the babies and they were stopping and like I'm leaving. But now they're taking their leave of absence and they're having their babies and they're performing until they can't. You know, but that's their decision, you know, as opposed to you have to get off our stage. We smell a pregnancy. You know, it's not like that anymore. And I really appreciate that we just make it normal. It's a normal part of life. It's a normal part of a person's life, you know?
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. And just speaking for men for a hot second, I know we're talking about moms, but I was pleased a couple of weeks ago on my current show, Dancing, that in one department that two fathers decided that they didn't want to spend all day, all week at the theater, and they're job sharing. And so they're splitting the week 4 and 4, four shows, they're splitting the week. So hopefully something like that will be able, their union's different. So hopefully we'll be able to do something like that, a real good job share.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, potentially, especially after a show again is long running, that you could maybe get creative like that. Yeah. Huh. Interesting. Okay, so once you became, so there was your life before being a parent and then there's your life after. And how do you feel like how did it change your perspective on your career or the choices that you made, or did it?
I definitely think it did. I think it lowered my ambition level a bit in terms of my career path. I've always been I've PSM'd on smaller shows, but being a Broadway PSM was never really my goal. It's just that is not my forte. I'm a great first. I'm a great second.
So just so people know, the PSM is like the head stage manager who has the biggest job, and then underneath them there's a first and a second stage manager, and then sometimes depending on the size of the show there might be a team of 4 stage managers. Right. Yes, but the PSM has the largest job. Yeah.
The largest job. Yeah. And I think I always knew that I didn't want to do that on a large scale. But I'd been a first a lot. Most of my career had been as a first. And I just found that the ambition to push for that left me. I'm happy to have a job. I am happy to be a parent, and it doesn't matter to me anymore. I think I try not to suck at being a parent and suck at stage management.
Sure.
Some days you just feel like you're failing at both.
Every day, parent.
So my goal is sort of to break even, and I think being a parent definitely lowered my my ambition level in that. I mean, I want to be great at my job, but I don't need to be constantly moving forward to the next higher level for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, Beverly, you're almost always the PSM. What do you think about
that?
The
opposite. I'm the opposite. I'm like, oh, I got a kid. I got to show him how it's done. It's like, yeah. And actually, I found that once I got into PSM track, that I found that I would be a god awful second now. Awful, just awful. I'd be a fantastic production assistant because I know what is needed, but I'd be an awful second. Awful. But having children actually made me want, sounds awful. It made me want to work more. But it just
I feel like every parent out there gets that on some level, sure.
But yeah, having children didn't stop me. I was determined from day one of my life plan when I was younger that I'm going to have a baby here, and then I'm going to you keep going. I just always felt I should just keep going, and work it all in as long as I had the support. Sometimes you didn't have the support, and sometimes you had to strap the baby on and bring them in the little bucket and shove them under the desk and keep going, and I've always, in the before times, I was always supportive of parents who got in a pickle. And it really eats me up right now that I can't do that I have to say no, because I know in New York City, the kids are off for school this week and we have rehearsal both days. I wasn't aware, If I was aware, maybe I would have changed something, but I wasn't aware. And so I have to say no to the parents being able to bring their kids so they can sit in the house and just watch the rehearsal. In the before times, it would have been absolutely, and let me buy them pizza, So, but yeah, just my career didn't detour with me having children. I kept working. I just never stopped. I kept working. Do I regret a little bit of it? No. Do I wish that I would have taken more time off? Yes. But I don't regret my choice of keep building on my career.
So I'm curious, how interested have your kids been in your work? How proud, how cool do they find it, if at all?
Well, Willa loved coming to the theater, and I think she found that part pretty cool. I think I benefit a little bit from the fact that it's Harry Potter and all of her friends are
Sure, of course.
I think that's a double-edged sword. I think she likes that, and then she's also like, Mom, everyone is asking me like what show you're on again, and I have to tell them, and I don't like that. Okay. So I think it's both. My husband jokes, he's an accountant, and so he always jokes that I have the cool job, and Willa is far more likely to tell people what I do and that she got to come to the theater than, she was hanging out at Dad's office. So I don't know if she's of the age yet that she's like proud of what I do. I don't know that that's really occurred to her yet, but I think she does have a sense that maybe Mom does something different than everybody else is doing.
Yeah. What about you, Beverly?
My children, when they were younger, they didn't see my job as anything special. It was Mom works. This is what Mom does. Dad's in the business also. This is what my parents do this. Just like you say, your dad, works in that office. My dad goes to that theater and works. My mom goes to that theater. It's now that they're older, they appreciate it. They appreciate what they were exposed to when they were younger. They really find it cool to be able to come and, meet Samuel L. Jackson and take pictures with him and carrying on. And, this and that. Now I'm like the cool mom because my kids are older. I would say that they are proud of me now and understanding what my job is. My daughter is in the business, and my youngest son is going to be a fabulous musician, and that's what he's studying. And my other son, my oldest boy, Oscar, is proud, and my stepchildren are proud of what I've accomplished. So I will just tell you, Willow, when she gets older and she looks back, she will be so proud of you. But right now, she's like, my mom just goes to work. Leave me alone, because my kids didn't get it. And they were like, when they came to see Shrek, oh yeah, come on, let's go see mom. That's how they see things. But their friends are like, their minds are blown. But when your kids are in the business, they don't see it that way. So
yeah.
But
Yeah, I find a child's world is what you tell them it is. So they don't know anything else. So it's not strange or crazy to them. Yeah. We have a question from Sarah, who would like to know, what advice would you give to aspiring parents who want to pursue a career in the theater?
Oh my gosh, stock up on your sleep. Just store up as much
Can
sleep
you?
as you want.
Can you do that though?
No, probably not.
Because if there was a way, boy,
We
you'd
would
get
do
rich,
it.
Andrea.
It's so true. So true.
Yeah, sleep's hard to come by
It's hard to
when
come
you're
by.
working the weird schedules. But yeah, and particularly, well, Beverly, do you have any thoughts?
What aspiring parents, are you trying to be a parent or to pursue
No, I think they're
a career
aspiring to be in the theater. Yeah.
in the theater? Then I would say, it's like, which one is it? Like,
I know, because being an aspiring parent, there's a talk that somebody didn't have with them.
right.
That is not our responsibility.
I'll explain. If you're trying to pursue a career in the theater, then do it. It doesn't have to, I keep telling everybody, you don't have to start on Broadway. There's community theater, there's local theater, there's regional theater. Having my daughter Deirdre, who is new in the business, she's been doing shows in the regions, and I've been going to see her, and my mind is blown on how beautiful these theaters are and the work that they're doing. So it doesn't, every road doesn't lead directly to Broadway right now. So if you really have a passion to do theater, then do it and bring your child with you, because you will probably start off, you may start off someplace where they actually need your child in the show. Who knows? So just do it. That's what I say. I say do it, and it will work itself out.
Yeah. Whichever way, I always say yes. Life is so long now with modern medicine being what it is. Kids coming out of college, they can have decades and decades for different careers, even. And I always say, yeah, just try, because you don't know where it's going to lead you, because there's not that many 8-year-olds out there who are like, I want to be a press rep for Broadway. Probably they came thinking they were going to do some other job, but like there are thousands and thousands of people who make Broadway happen in our city. And most of them are not on the stage, but that's what people see, or even the crew. You get to try that in high school, so people feel like they know what that is. But yes, I don't know how many even 8-year-olds were like, I want to be a stage manager when I grow up. But then you get into the world, and then it funnels you where you're meant to go, I think. And so I agree when you say that it'll all work out. It may not work out the way you expect it to work out, but it will land you somewhere that, if you're great to work with, because of course we are in a job where you're constantly you ladies, obviously constantly getting rehired, but you don't get rehired if you're not great to work with. It's too collaborative. So, but I am curious if you have thoughts about, because I know I've certainly been asked 1,000 times in my career, what do you do to become an actor? And of course, there's no one answer for that. But I don't know the answer to this. If you wanted to be a stage manager, what is at least sort of a good path for people who are interested in getting into that side of it?
Gosh, I mean, I can speak to my path. I stage managed in college. And then out of college, there was like a summer theater. And then I knew I wanted to move to New York. And I came to New York, and I was a production assistant for a few shows. And then just one thing led to the other. But that's just my path. I think just doing it. I know there's a lot of young people who are production assistants on shows that are just starting out. They get their foot in the door that way. But as Beverly was saying, you just stage manage anywhere. regional, anywhere you can, you are going to get experience from that, meet people, and it just sort of propels you forward. It's not, you don't always have to be, it doesn't always have to be on Broadway.
Yeah. Do people often just start stage man? Do you feel like people need a degree in it, I guess? Do you need to go to a program or a school where you have to learn
No.
it? Or can you really just
No.
start doing it? No.
No.
Okay. Cool. Good to know.
If that's what you want to go to school for, I'm going to be the last person to tell you not to, because you're going to learn other things besides, just like it doesn't matter what you go to school for, but if you go, you're going to learn other things outside of what your major is. So if you want that experience and you want to stage manage, then do so. But if you don't want to, or if you found stage management later in life, then good. You found it. Now do it. So I have nothing to add to what Andrea said, because that's exactly what I would have said.
Right on. Stephanie asked, hi, Stephanie, if there is danger associated with your shows, how do you explain it and confirm that you are safe to your children? I know Harry Potter actually has some levels of danger. But yeah, have you guys found that that's come up in your careers, and have you had to talk to your kids about it?
I haven't. And maybe I should worry that Willa has not been concerned about me. Because, you know, we do have some pyro effects, and she's seen some of those many years ago, but she approached them just with more amazement rather than worry about danger. But I think what I probably would say is that she has met so many of our amazing crew members who make those things happen every night. And she knows how great they are and how much care they took of her when she visited and made sure she was safe when she was there. And they do the same for Mom when Mom's at work. You know, they make sure that we are safe and that everything is okay. So I think that's probably, if she gets concerned, that's probably what I would say to her.
Yeah. Beverly, has that ever come up for you?
No, not in the job, but because I live outside of the city, my kids are concerned that I'll fall asleep when I'm driving home. There you go. That's what the concern is. Like, Mom, you should stop. No, I'll be home soon. They get concerned with that. But at the workplace, I think because they've been around so much, and their father is also in the business, or was, he retired now, that they know that there are regulations, and they've seen, when they could come to the theater, me strap on somebody in their harness and double check it and make sure it's safe. So they're not concerned. And also, as a stage manager, we're actually who kind of make sure that we're the extra eyes to make sure that people who could walk into an open trap, we're the extra eyes. There are other people looking at it, but we're also looking at it to keep other children's parents safe also.
Oh, that's a lovely way to think about it. All right, ladies, do you know what time it is? It's time for the lightning round. Oh. Yep, see? There's a graphic, so you know it's true. All right, there are no wrong answers in the lightning round, only 2 slow answers in the lightning round. The stakes are high. There are no stakes. Okay, we ready? The clock is going to start now. Who would you rather babysat your kids, Harry Potter or Kate Monster from Avenue Q? Beverly.
Kate Monster.
Andrea.
Kate Monster.
Kate Monster.
Okay. What's your favorite breakfast to serve your kids, Andrea?
Oatmeal.
Beverly.
Grits and fish.
Grits and fish for breakfast. All right. Okay. And they ate it? Fish for breakfast?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah, my kids would never.
Fighting.
No. Fighting. Good for them. Good for them. Protein in the morning. Do you ever call places for your kids, Beverly?
No.
Andrea?
No, but now I'm going to. That sounds
yes. You're welcome.
Thank you.
What percentage of the time was or is your kid's bed made, Andrea?
Oh, 5%.
Okay. Beverly?
I could name that tune in one note. One.
Would your childhood self think you were a good parent, Beverly?
Yes.
Andrea?
Yes.
Monopoly or Uno? Andrea.
Uno.
Beverly.
Monopoly.
Last question. Which of these plays that you stage managed best describes your parenting experience? Catch Me If You Can, Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown, Hades Town, or Bringing a Noise, Bringing a Funk? Beverly.
Noise Funk, 100. Noise
Okay.
Funk, absolutely.
Andrea.
Women on the Verge of a Nervous Breakdown.
Fair enough.
I couldn't
Ding,
pick
ding,
yours. I
ding,
would've
ding, ding,
picked-
ding, ding. I am being told that all of your answers are correct and that you both won the prize. It's going to arrive in the mail in 6 to 8 weeks. Keep an eye out. Oh, thank you so much, Beverly and Andrea, for being our guests tonight. So much. And thank you, Kathy Hung, for stopping by. Thank you to my friend and our wonderful technical director, Jason Crespin. Thank you, Nicole, and all the good and lovely people who work tirelessly at New York City Children's Theater. And thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this evening and you think you know others who would enjoy it, please feel free to share it. It is going to live on forever on YouTube. And this was our last Meet the Parent of the season. But our past discussions are available on our website or on YouTube if you want to check those out. And we'll be back next season for more. If you don't want to miss anything, make sure to sign up for the New York City Children's Theater newsletter. And good night, everyone.